Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode where I've let Mitch pick and build his dream car. It's a GQ Patrol. We've got a rare one. It's got a tub. He's gone and done a gas strut rooftop tent setup. We've picked up a separate chassis and we're picking it up this week, continuing the build.
Right, so we have our diffs here. These are GU diffs that I picked up off Marketplace for around $100. I got these at a bargain because the car had a bit of a background. It was rolled on its lid, some other shit. But hey, the diffs are here and they're $100, so who cares? I'm going to assess them. There seems some pros and there's some cons to these diffs, so let's check them out. Starting off with the rear diff, these are just GU diffs on whatever ratio TDs are on. I haven't pulled the centers out and checked yet. But some of the cons, looks like some Unga Bunga has pulled the diffs out, wasn't me, and absolutely bent the shit out of these mounts. That's all right, we can bend them back. Same Unga Bunga, cut the end off that. There's missing nuts for the center, which is kind of concerning. Now, clearly in this car's history, it's had a wheel come off. The shock mount's all ground down and there's a lot of asphalt in there, so clearly they had a wheel come off. Poor bloke, I know how you feel. Onto the front cons, we've got the hub, but nothing else. This shock tower, the shock tower is a bit rusted. It's kind of a weird one to have, but that's all right because we're doing, hydros, we're gonna have to probably cut that off and make a new one that's heavy duty anyway, so the hydro has a contact pad. One of the pros is this airline here. So I think it has an air locker in there. I'll give these a quick wash, so I'm gonna pull them up off the ground and let's see if that air locker works. So testing an air locker is pretty damn simple. Literally all you have to do is supply air to this line. If both the hubs spin when they're locked, then all goods. Luckily for us, this hub's gone, so it doesn't have to be locked. But we're just gonna jam air up this line, which is clogged. So we'll cut it back, then jar up the line. What in the fuck? Hold on, there's more to this. All right, after that small little win about the air locker, we're gonna start tearing these diffs down. Now I'm sure you would have seen 100,000 videos of us tearing down GU diffs, so we're just gonna make this one quick. Gonna try something new. I don't want to pull all the hub and shit apart. I'm just going to go bang, 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 kingpin bolts, back ones out. And I think the whole axle should come out. Alright, so I kind of just skipped the process of pulling the front apart. These have all seen diffs getting ripped apart before. So now I'm onto the rear diff, tear this out, tape everything up. I'm wrapping and taping everything, so it's really easy to put it all back together. And I have a bit of a rebuild bench over there going where I'm putting bolts in certain spots. Now, this rear diff's a bit fishy because all the bolts are off the center. So I'm not sure if they tried to pull the center apart, then realized you couldn't without taking axles, something stupid like that maybe. But I don't know, I'll rip the axles out and then we're gonna give this diff a good inspection. All right, if you guys have pulled apart Patrol diffs before, you'll know that these brake disc covers are an absolute shit show. These stupid bolts that Nissan's put in, being Phillips head, always strip out and rust out. They're absolutely horrible design. But SP Tools has this thing, it's called an impact, pretty sure it's called an impact driver. Just like a rattle gun, but an impact driver. So with these, you can put it on there and instead of bashing the end of your normal screwdriver in and destroying it, this has a spring in it that pops and actually helps you undo the bolt. And I found these super handy for this exact application here. So if you just hold it like you're trying to undo it, and then that's already loose. Literally just a small tap and that has come off. Same as this one here, haven't touched this one yet. And then they've just come loose. Now I can actually undo them. I don't have to cut them off and I don't have to get the easy outs out. If you guys are chasing one, SP Tools, impact driver. Rightio, so while the diffs are fully stripped, I've wrapped them up in plastic and labeled everything so no dust can get in anywhere. We're at a bit of a standstill because we're waiting for parts. So we're gonna move on to getting the cab off this GQ because we're pretty much ready to start prepping it for paint. As you would have seen on Instagram, we've been using this as a bit of a fencing rig. So she's a bit dirty. I'm gonna rip off the big items like the bonnet and the guards, and then we'll give her a good clean, and then we can start stripping this cab off. The cab should only be half a day and it'll be off. But as for this chassis and motor, we're doing something else, so you guys will have to wait for another episode to see that, but let's get cracked into it.
Going up, going up, going up, going up, going up, going up. Get it that I'm never going up, going up, going up, going up, going up, going up, going up. Get it that I'm never going. I get to it out the runway. Different incomes, not one way. Living life on a one way.
Right, now it's time for a wash. She's gotten hell muddy since going down the back and doing all the farm and shit, so we'll throw her on the hoist. It's a really good thing about having an outdoor hoist. You can make as much mess as you want. So we'll throw her up, give her a real good wash, and then we can start doing like clutch lines, brake lines, all that shit, but we've kind of got to keep it together.
I got you bad. I guess that when I get to it last. Get it that I'm never going back. Get it that I'm never going back. Up, going up, going up, going up, going up, going up, going up. Get it that I'm never going up.
And just like that, with the power of editing, the car is clean. Now, I don't want anyone being envious of that job. That sucked. I got covered in mud, and as you can see, the ground is covered in mud. So I kind of used the pressure washer to uncover some more. A little bit of surface rust here and there, some paint stripped off. So now we're going to throw it up, clean the floor, and then start grabbing to pull the cab off. Ladies and gentlemen, we have some really bad news. As you would have seen in the title of this video, the GQ's a write-off. This cab, I just discovered a lot of things pressure washing it that we couldn't see prior because of all the coating they'd put underneath it. So I found a lot of rust holes, old repairs, new stuff, all in the floor pan and up the sides and in the guts. But it's a complete write-off basically. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'll go down, I found another GQ cab on Marketplace and in pretty good nick for 1,500 bucks. So I'm gonna have to go get that cab. We'll just put the cab and the chassis, the rolling GQ coil chassis we have, we'll put them together. And yeah, this is basically, this whole car's a write-off now. We'll keep it for its tub. Obviously we can't sell it now we've found the condition that it's actually in, so it's going to become a farm rig, I think, which you guys will now see in a different video. So yeah, she's fucked. That's alright, I guess we'll skip to when I'm picking up the new cab. Alright Sam, for editing purposes this is back to the GQ build episode. Alright, so we've now picked up a new GQ cab. So as you've seen, the old one was completely rooted, was not worth saving or our time trying to save it. So I picked this one up literally just up the road, about 25 minutes away, which is pretty good. Picked it up for $1,500. The gutters are all rust free. There's one little bubble in the gutter on this side and that's it. As for engine bay, there's a snorkel hole here that I'll try and replate and fix, and one little rust hole in the engine bay, but that's fine because we're going to be shaving the bay completely. I've got to have to remove the battery box, remove all that, and then cut a fair bit of shit out and plate a lot of stuff anyway. But that's the only rust. 3 spots in the entire cab instead of body mounts and whole floor repairs and everything. The floors in this are mint, rad support's mint, and it's GQ, not the it's the GQ Series 2 front, not the GQ Series 1 front. So we're not going to have to change the rad support to fit the headlights and indicators and stuff like that. This came with doors too, electric wagon doors, so that'll be cool to have electric windows in this thing. Gonna try and get them working. It will be a bit of a mission wiring wise, but that's all right. While I'm ripping this door off, I'm gonna explain to you guys a little bit of history about this cab, because I love a little bit of history, seeing where cars come from, stuff like that. So the bloke we picked it up off was a, 40s, 50s maybe, and he had this sitting in his shed for about 11 years. You can tell by the rego sticker that's still on the window that it must have ran out of rego back then. And he had picked it off from somebody, what I can gather, out west, because on the back window has a Northern Territory sticker that looks fucking old. So this thing must have been in the NT at one time in its day. Pretty sick. It is the ST cab, I can tell by a few little things, by a few trims and stuff. So it's the top of the line cab, just comes with extra trims, which is good for us. It'll make it look a little bit more bougie. When he stored it in his shed, he obviously knows how to take care of shit and stop rust, because he's coated everything in Fisherline. Now, if you don't know what Fisherline is, it's just like a older way of a rust inhibitor basically, and just coat everything in it and it kind of stops rust. However, it is sticky and an absolute to get off, so we're gonna have to give it a really nice pressure wash, good scrub with some degreaser, get that all off, and then we can actually see what's underneath the Fisherline. Alright guys, so last week I hooked in a little bit to this engine bay and didn't really film much, but now this week and probably for the next whole week, we're going to be shaving this bay. Now with shaving a bay, you've pretty much got to strip absolutely everything, because the plan is all I want in there is the motor, the airboxes, and the piping. That's it. So to get a completely tidy bay, you've also got to strip out a fair few things that are in the bay and fill up all the little holes as well. Now this morning I'm starting on the battery box, so I've kind of just trimmed it down so it's easy to work around, and then you have to identify all the spot welds that actually hold this thing in place. I've left one up here just for like an easy example, you can actually see it. It's just where the panel goes flat and you see a little tiny divot. You want to drill that out and drill out all the other ones around the box, and then it should just lift out pretty simply, easily, after you crack off all the sealant and stuff they put on as well. And this is when it starts taking a lot of time. Rightio, so I got the battery tray fully out now, so I'm going to show you guys the location of the spot welds, just so if you do want to do this, you can kind of reference back to this video and make it a little bit easier for yourself. So we had a few up there, then we had one there, and then a few down here, a lot around the bottom, and there was like 4 secret ones on the flat part of the tray, which I didn't see till a little bit later. Then obviously just more around there, and now next step is getting this piece out. So we had a bit of a rust hole here, which was a pretty substantial size hole. Now what we're going to do here is replate it all with steel, and then you'll just be able to like grind back all the welds, smooth it off, and make it look like it was never there. Now this one's pretty tricky because it's got a lot of curves and circles and stuff. We're not going to actually be able to plate this in one piece. I'm not that good of a sheet metal person. I can patch holes, but that's next level. So what I did was actually cut all the rust out, then cut it a little bit bigger so I have square edges to work with and more flat curves. So the first piece I just cut out of cardboard. We're going to make it fit there as a flat piece. We're going to do this as the rounded piece, and then fill that little gap in with the third piece, and that will keep the shape of like the roll and then the divot, and that'll keep it looking like it was never there once it's repaired. And she'll be bloody sweet. All right, so I've patched that hole. It's a bit rough for now. We still need to do the other holes that were around it, like the little drill holes and shit that were around it. So we'll go get a brass block, and then we can put the brass block underneath, because weld doesn't stick to brass, but it's still a conductor, so it fills the hole quite well. So we need to go get a brass block, and then we can start filling in all these small holes in the engine bay, which then we'll be able to grind back, then do the coater bog.
A few moments later.
All right guys, I've been stuck in this bay for about the whole day, and it's the late afternoon now, and I've just been plugging holes. So as I said, once I finished patching that one, we're just going to go around and plug all the holes in this bay. Now it's a really long, tedious process, so all the smaller holes you can see here I've just been filling with weld, and then we'll grind them back, blend them off nice, and then you can lay like a thin coat of bog over top to get rid of any small imperfections. So we're just going around filling up every single hole in the bay. Then we'll only... now you threw me off, God. I'm going crazy, I'm fucked. This sucks, dude. Sam wants to just sheet it, but I don't believe we have the room for that, because it would look better. Sam thinks it would look better. I personally think a clean factory look would be better, so leave it down in the comments what you guys believe. If you think we should do a complete sheet that's just flat, yes, it would look nice, but I wouldn't mind just a clean factory look. So leave that in the comments down below. Sweet, well, I'm gonna have a break from the engine bay because I've pretty much shown you everything there is to do with doing the engine bay, and also it's sending me fucking crazy. So I thought I might get onto a bit more of a fun job. So what we're gonna start with here is, I know the chassis looks rooted, but we're gonna get all the welding on it completely done, and that way we can send it to sandblast and get it powder coated. So let's start cracking into that. Now, the first part we're gonna do is the long arm kit from Superior Engineering. Now, this is a pretty critical thing to be doing on your four-wheel drive if you are going to lift it, as it makes the geometry of your suspension work so much better. To use just a simple example, Sam's Patrol, before he put long arms in it, used to just pop the front wheel up, and I know you think it looks like mad dog sick that your Patrol can lift the wheel around a roundabout. It's not cool. It's actually really bad that your vehicle can do that, but long arms pretty much stop that. A really good example is a broomstick sliding across the ground. If I'm sliding it like this, slide this broomstick along the ground when it's on an angle like that. This is exaggerated, but you get the point. Hard. Shit. Put it down like this, Much better. I don't know, I don't even know if that's like a good example, but I just seen that on a YouTube video once and it made sense to me, so I thought it was how it works. Right, now for this job, you cut off your old mount, you use the template supplied by Superior, and then you weld this one on there, and that's it. Then you can bolt your long arm in and have much better broomstick geometry. Alright, so we've cut the old mount off. If you noticed when I was cutting, I wasn't cutting this way into the chassis, you cut this way. So don't just aimlessly go cutting into your chassis, you kind of just want to like slice around the side, leave a bit that you can still blend off, and then you won't fuck your chassis. Now, this kit's pretty neat. It comes with this little template thing here that you put on this long arm mount, and then you can measure forward. Obviously we're running a GQ chassis, so just mark that hole with a pen. Like that. And if you're running obviously GU, it says it there, so it's super easy and simple to get your hole in the right place. Now we're going to drill through the chassis with the correct size drill bit after a few pre-drills, so we can bolt this on properly with the crush tube, and that will be the perfect location for this. Okay, now we've drilled the hole, we got the bolt and the 2 spacers provided in the kit in. Now we've just clamped it all so it's sitting nice and hard up against the chassis, and we'll just go around and tack it so it stays nice and center and doesn't twist or warp. Then we'll do the final weld out nice and warm and get them laying in there. Alright, so we've got this long arm mount fully welded out now. We're just going to hit it with a bit of primer so it doesn't rust while it sits here until it goes to powder. Now just repeat the process the exact same on the other side, and then we'll be able to bolt in those shiny new billet control arms. So in the next episode, we're going to get onto the coil tower bracing, the hydro mounts, the diff bracing, the rest of the weld on stuff before this thing goes away. So stay tuned for next episode, and I'll see you guys next week.